Plus, go have an adventure on your last day. Go put your feet in the water. Go stare at the sky and watch the birds fly over. And
we all are gonna die. 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 Why don't we help each other prepare for it? Without death there could not be life. I'm talking about end of life conversations, conversations about the end of life. Death and dying, grief and loss, conversations about the end of life.
Hey, everybody, we want to interrupt this episode to ask for some help.
Yes, indeed. We would like to add value to our podcast for you, our beloved community, as we move into our third
How
year
cool is
of
that?
being here.
30 years. Yeah.
3 years.
Just starting our third year. We're very excited about that. So we really do. We want to add some value. And we'd love to have as many as possible of you go to our podcast notes and click on the link to take just a few minutes to do a survey for us and tell us what would make it more valuable for you. So we look
Yeah,
forward to hearing from you.
and don't hesitate. Whatever is on your heart, there's a little space there that you can add your thoughts about what you'd like to hear more about. Maybe, even if it's books or music, whatever, just
Yeah.
let us know because we are here to in support of you,
Yeah.
our listeners. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. We are very happy to be with you again today. I'm the Reverend Wakil David Matthews. Today we get to meet with Eric Jepsen. Eric is the creator of Beautifully MAID, M-A-I-D, a website that offers folks considering medical aid in dying a beautiful space in which to experience that transition. We will, of course, put that link in the podcast notes so you can check him out. He introduces himself as one who is extremely curious about most things. He said, maybe not jazz or butter, which I kind of, not that curious either, especially butter.
Butter?
Yeah.
it's good.
But most everything else he's curious about. He's in his mid-50s. He has 3 grown kids, and he's grateful to have passed some of that curiosity on to his kids.
So interesting. And I am the Reverend Mother Ana Luisa Armendariz. Eric tells us that his wife, partner, co-conspirator, has graciously stayed with him for 30 plus years. He is trained in engineering with a master's degree and has owned his company for over 20 years, specializing in engineering services. He strives to give his time to entities that further good in the world. For example, a homeless advocate, nature preservation, high school coach, and lately, helping people who are facing death to have better choices. And that is why he's part of our team. He's our people.
He's our
Thank you
people.
so much for being here, Eric. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's
very
really
much.
good to meet both of you.
Yeah. We always like to begin by asking folks when they first became aware of death.
In regards to this podcast or what you're talking about, I don't know. It doesn't have any relationship whatsoever to what I'm doing with Beautifully Made, but it's just your typical grandparents passing away and
Mhm.
having those viewings, which I would hope to never have that again.
Mhm.
It's so odd to see someone prepared in that way. But anyway, different discussion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's
that was-
one we have regularly.
I've had very little interaction with death around my family or friends. A lot of death, I guess, growing up with friends in high school, but
Mhm.
again, different stories. But
Mhm.
I come at this from an autonomous standpoint. I highly value personal autonomy, and
Yeah.
that's how I got into this whole thing. Is literally about autonomy, not about I had some death experience and wanted it to be better or different. It's simply I want a choice,
Mhm.
and I saw how that choice was being taken away from others. And I'm an engineer. I was like, I'm not involved in this whatsoever. I didn't know anything about hospice. I didn't know anything about a lot of the functions that go on with end of life care. So I started doing what I normally do. I started being curious, reading as many books as I can get my hands on, and and it's kinda how we're having this conversation just
Yeah.
a few years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's uh, becoming aware of anything is on a continuum, right? Like some people do come to the podcast and like, my dog died, my grandma died, the neighbor died. And so that's kind of like the awareness of death and that mortal piece. And I'm really interested in like you saw the need to open up spaces for people to just have a better death, right?
Yeah.
So tell me how when this kind of bubbled up in your mind, what you said you started reading about it. Tell us what's the trajectory of this? Tell me
So
the history of how you got there.
we own a cabin up in the mountains here in Colorado, and, I read the paper every week. It's deep in the mountains and on the western slope, and, there was a story in the newspaper about a family that was coming. They were gonna rent out this, incredible hunting camp that's on the border of wilderness and one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen quite a few places, luckily. Um, and they were gonna there was a grandfather who'd grown up going there and, wanted to bring his family and pass away in this incredible setting. I was like, "Oh, that's amazing." And the story went on to say that, someone in the family contacted the local authorities and said, "Hey, by the way, this is what we're gonna do," and the authorities were like, "Nope, we're not gonna allow that,"
Mm,
and even went so far as to say, "We don't even have sympathy for your situation. Don't come here, don't do this."
Wow.
mhm,
And, I've
ah,
grown up in the West. I've grown up in California, and there's this whole we grew up with all the cowboy movies and like, "Oh, I just wanna die in the sunset, right, somewhere."
Right.
Um,
yep,
or leave me to myself out in a field or in a forest, and that's how I wanna pass. That's how I've
mhm,
grown up with, "You
mhm,
should be able to do what you want," and so, I'm not in this. I'm an engineer. Don't I don't follow anything with death or the death industry or what people's rights are or anything, so I just started researching. I wish I would have known they could have come and stayed at our place and
Mm.
passed away next to a river someplace
mhm,
beautiful.
mhm,
I was just deeply offended by this Wild West notion that you have these freedoms to do things, but you really don't. It's just you have freedoms
mhm,
to do what other people tell you you can do.
Yeah.
mhm,
And so I just started reading a lot about that. And I wanted to try to change the narrative. I was like, wow, this is not what I thought it was. This notion that you can live, have independence the way you want to live and you have independence the way you want to die. And unfortunately, there's just not a lot of independence when you want to die. So
Mhm.
mhm,
um, as some things sit on people, that's what I call it when something sits on your shoulder or sits on your soul or your heart. That was probably 7 years of just nagging at me going, "Are you gonna read more? Are you gonna do more? What are you gonna do with this?"
Yeah.
'Cause,
wow,
it wouldn't go away. Some things, you learn about and they just go away
mhm,
in 10 minutes, and this one didn't. So, I
Mm.
mhm,
ended up, with a good friend of mine. We started a care home for people that were in hospice to if you're gonna die, then you could choose to die in a fantastically beautiful place.
Mm.
So we opened a care home specifically for people in hospice to provide this environment. It was, just outside of Loveland, Colorado, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was everything that I dreamed it could be. A lot of the caretakers and, um, different organizations in hospice and care workers would come visit and tour the property, and
mhm,
they'd break down in tears because nothing
Mm.
like that exists. It's very sterile
mhm.
environment, and I'm not being negative on the current industry. It's just a
It's an
sterile
industry.
it's
Yeah.
a sterile industry,
Yeah.
Mhm,
um, and so I was providing something different that was a great place, but, as my timing had it, I, opened it right when COVID hit,
Hmm.
so we took care of 15 so odd people, um, and then we had to close. Just our timeline and funding ran out due to the difficulties with so many that happened with
mhm.
so many people with COVID.
Mhm.
And I took a couple years to mourn that, and I was getting back into it. It just still won't go away about like, hey,
Mhm.
there's still an issue out there
Yeah.
of people. I think there's an issue, or I think it's an
Mhm,
opportunity for people to find out, hey, you don't have to die like this in this environment.
Mhm.
So specifically with medical aid and dying, it's a very known time frame.
Mhm.
Whereas if you're in hospice, it could be 2 months, 2
Mhm.
days, or a year and a half, depending
Yeah.
Mhm.
on how your body reacts. And so with medical aid and dying, there's a given day. And so I started tinkering around with the idea of how to provide people space for that final day. And
Mhm. Mhm.
I've had several different iterations, but it's
Mhm.
that's my story of how I got here. And through the
Mhm.
process of opening our care home, which was called Masaya, which means beyond in Spanish,
Masaya. Mhm.
and just my whole reasoning for that name was death is beyond us. I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
there's so much in life that we want to capture and hold that we think we can um, put our brains around or
Mhm.
understand, and there's so much that is not, and we just don't embrace the unknown.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
was the
Mhm.
whole point of the name, is like just embrace that what is happening is beyond our understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
beautiful.
So, um, yeah, and so it's led to me being on the end of life options Colorado board with
Mm.
Mhm.
a bunch of medical professionals. I'm like, I'm what? Why do you want me
Yeah.
on this board? You guys are so much amazing talent and information. I'm like coming at this from left field as an engineer, but
Mhm.
it's a fantastic group to be. I'm so honored to be a part of their
Mhm.
be part of the organization and
Yeah,
bring
that's
some
so
different
beautiful.
perspective, I guess.
Yeah, Eric, I love this. I love this because, you are so needed. And Wakil, we had somebody from, Oregon, right? Who also has been trying to set up a space,
Yeah, yeah.
like, collectivize, like, some Airbnbs who would welcome people who come
Mhm.
in from out of state to
Mhm.
try to, use the medical aid and dying there. But, I really appreciate your story because it's so different. Like, it's just still bugging me, but
It won't leave
No,
you
I want
alone.
yeah,
yeah, it won't leave you alone, which that's what we all should be doing, right? When something is not it's persistent, we should actually tend to it.
Yeah.
And I wanna just, and I did these statistics a couple years ago when I wrote my advanced care directive planning book, but I think 80% of the people wanna die at home or somewhere really nice, and
Mhm.
only 20% of people get to actually do that. For lack of planning or there's no spaces or, for medical aid and dying, our listeners may know that most hospice settings will not allow people to partake in the medical aid and dying
correct.
process.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
a
that's why
very high number.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why Eric having this vision it fills my heart. Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And following it
Yeah,
and yeah,
Mhm.
listening to
it's
the
a lot of
calling.
fun. It
Yeah.
helps bring people into this space as well because fortunately I've got a lot of friends and or their friends have unbelievable properties and they love to
Mm.
be able to share it.
Oh,
Well, this is
beautiful.
Mhm.
one way that they can share it because a lot of
Mhm.
them are
Mhm.
very generous, but so I go out and meet with people that have ranches and these incredible properties. And
Mhm.
the way it is now, I used to try to use part of their home or something like that because they're like, oh, hey, you could rent out a room for me if someone needs this. But when the time
Mhm.
came, it never worked
Mm.
just because of everyone's scheduling and this and
Yeah.
that. So I moved on to. I'm not trying to create unique things, but I just keep pushing until I find a solution.
Yeah.
And so right now I bring basically the home environment to the property. So if
Mhm.
someone's got 10 acres and they've got a house on the corner or something, I want to be off in the back 8 acres
Mhm.
away from the homes. And we come and we set up a whole environment to celebrate someone's
Mm.
life in and amongst nature.
Mm.
So we've got properties that are up in the
So
mountains
great.
next in a cabin or next to a stream. We've got one coming up that they're going to pass away on top of a mountaintop
Mm.
outside of Denver. Prairie lands, farms, so you can go be with horses or animals. I'm trying to get the whole gamut of experiences. And it's just, it's really beautiful because you give people the opportunity and they're like, oh my God, I'd love to participate
Mhm.
with this.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
have to, they don't even have to be home. I can just go
Mhm.
use their property,
Yeah.
show
Mhm.
up, and we just come and go. And
Mhm.
and it's very quiet because a lot of people think, oh, you got to have ambulance services or sirens. I'm like, no,
Mm.
that everything we're doing is quiet,
Mhm.
peaceful,
Mm.
Wow.
Oh,
serene.
that's so
It
beautiful.
is,
Yeah.
I wish people could see that article that came out in Denver. It was just a snapshot into
Mhm.
what we're talking about, what we can provide. It's truly unique and beautiful, and I'm super happy to be, I don't know, leading this. There's nothing else. I want to get the word out about, hey, you
Mhm.
don't, and even the person Tim that died in at the ranch outside of Franktown that was in that article.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He had his own home. He
Mm.
actually gifted it
Mm.
to his niece after he died. He didn't want to tell her about it until after he had passed.
Mhm.
And he specifically didn't want to die there just so there wouldn't be any memories of that and so he could just give her the
Wow.
house.
Mm.
So there's a lot
Mm.
of circumstances that we're not really
Mhm.
aware of about. They're fine dying in their house, but there may be some reason they don't want to. And
Yeah.
Right.
plus, go have an adventure on your last day.
Right.
Yes!
Go put your feet in the water.
Yeah.
Go
Yes.
stare at the sky and watch the birds fly
Mm.
over and, um, yeah, it's anyway, I'm thrilled to be a part of this. It's,
Yeah.
Mhm.
hard work walking people through
Mhm.
the end steps,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
is a new a new
A new
I did this
adventure.
stuff with Masaya, and it took weeks, but all this
Mhm.
is done in a
A day.
leading up to it for a day. Like, oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
But,
Beautiful. Thank you. That's so important and so wonderful that you're
Mhm.
putting this out there for other people to emulate, so I think anywhere where I think there's, I don't know, maybe 14 states now where MAID is legal. And in most of those cases, people can go to those states if their state isn't one of them. And so it seems like each of those states should have something like this going on. It would be wonderful. And so I'm
Mhm.
really glad that
yeah.
we can put this out there and hopefully people can take advantage of the wisdom that you've gained and the experience that
Mhm.
you've gained to create similar things everywhere, basically. Um, can
Mhm.
you tell us,
Yeah,
like,
since the article came out, I've gotten calls from several different states about wanting to,
great.
um, duplicate this out there. So, made California, made what beautifully made California or whatever. So,
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
gonna be a fun adventure. I'm looking
Right.
forward to we haven't even started advertising yet. So,
Wow.
Mhm.
Keep them
once that
busy.
word gets out, I think I'll be pretty busy.
So walk us through if somebody was interested in connecting with you, how would this look for them? What would it look like kind of step by step, like how they get in touch, what it ends up, where they end up? And you've already talked a lot about some of the places, but like, what's the process, I guess?
It's different for every person. So sometimes we get people that literally have a couple days.
Mm,
And, so I try feverishly, and we've got a lot of really good properties and partners that we can do things like that really quick. And other ones are months out.
mm,
And those ones, I just tackle it just like I do everything else I work on in my engineering world. I have a project plan. I've got all
Mhm.
the checklists. Like, hey, we got to do this. When's your first physician's consult? What hospital or what doctors are you using? I go down through the whole list of the requirements that it takes in the state of Colorado to do that. The
mhm,
residency check and this. There's a bunch of things. I'm getting them hooked up with hospice organizations that are supportive of
mhm,
this. And most hospice nurses and doctors are, but as an organization, they tend to be very much like
Mhm.
the elder care homes
mhm.
and assisted living, where they're like, hey, you can come stay here, but you cannot do that here.
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
so, unfortunately, a lot of the organizations, I understand it, but it's just this weird United States that we live in where there's so much legality around everything that
yeah,
you
Mhm.
do support this, but as a corporation, they won't.
yeah,
And so we work with hospice groups that are, there's a lot of people, they make a relationship, the guests that we take care of. I don't call them patients because I'm not in the medical field at all. I call them guests. Maybe my background is not medical, as some
Mhm.
physicians they would refer to people as their patients, but for me, they're guests.
mhm,
Mhm.
And as I'm walking through with these different guests, they get to know their hospice teams really well, and they're
Mhm.
deeply saddened that they are not able to be there on the last day because a lot of hospice
Mhm.
organizations refuse to let any staff
Mhm.
be present,
wow,
which
Mhm.
is
even be present.
so,
Mhm,
Mhm.
which is just. heart-wrenching and frankly wrong, but I
Yes.
get it.
Yeah.
They don't want any insinuation that they had anything to do with this, and the law is so clear and simple, actually, in all
Mhm.
these states, you have to self-ingest, and
Mhm.
the people there have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
They're just
Mhm.
there to help,
Yeah.
be
Just to
with
be
Hold
present.
somebody
that
and
space.
hold
Mhm.
the space, create a beautiful
Mhm.
environment. There's
Yeah.
nothing any hospice nurse or doctor has to do.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
anyway, back to your, question with Keel is it's just, it's I like it. I use my project management, skills, and I've been using them forever, but and I just help
Mhm.
people walk through this, logistics
Mhm.
so that they can they're dealing with enough anxiety as it is about
Mhm.
Yeah.
imagine you and I going, "Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
next Tuesday, that's so you better have said everything. Did I talk to everyone I needed to talk to?
Right.
Oh, I forgot to call Jill," right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a whole 'nother level of anxiety, and so I try to deal with all the logistical stuff, where,
Yeah.
Mhm.
how,
Yeah.
what time, what's it gonna look like, how many people are coming, what can I bring to
Mhm.
help celebrate, what kind of
Mm.
chair do you wanna be, what
Mhm.
cot do you wanna lay on?
Yeah.
Um,
You are essentially a death midwife. Like, this
yeah,
is I consider myself a death midwife because I always tell people at birth, for the birth, you have a birth midwife, and they help set like, the home birth situation, like, is the home ready? Is the bed ready? Are there sheets? Are there towels? Are there food? Who's gonna be there? Who's not gonna be there? It's like you kind of help orchestrate, you know, the walking through a portal, and you're doing the exact same thing on the other end.
Neither end.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never really named what I do. I'm
Yeah,
coordinating people's celebration, end of
Yeah.
life celebration. It's the best way I can,
Yeah.
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 use it 'cause, just with the project management stuff, there's a lot to cover,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
if this is you just got on hospice or you're thinking about it. And a lot of people come to us that aren't on hospice. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you got to be on hospice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you all know why I require that?
Yeah. Tell
It's a,
us. I
it's an
mean,
interesting point that not many people know. So if you're not on hospice, like the person that was going to come to the mountain town and pass away, I don't know if they're on hospice or not. I don't think so. But if you're not, then you have to call the emergency services when you're done
mm.
and say we've had a death, and they will send the police, the paramedics,
Oh, wow.
and then the coroner will eventually come out and they'll go, okay, this was a made death. They'll review all the paperwork and go, okay, there's nothing to investigate here.
Mhm.
But you're trying to create this serene, peaceful
Mhm.
environment, not just for the
Mhm.
guests, but also
Mhm.
their family.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
the last thing you want is memories of all the, having to explain to yourself what's happening here.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, if you're on
Mm.
hospice, that does not happen. So
Mhm.
you once someone passes, then you notify the hospice team. They come out and declare the person, they talk to their physician on the phone, and they declare them, deceased, and then you can call the mortuary, and they can come and pick up the body, and it's very, quick, quiet, peaceful,
Mhm.
efficient.
Mhm.
Nice.
And,
Yeah. Thank you.
if you're not on hospice, that is not the case, and it's no fun. So if people
Yeah.
Right.
aren't, I help them get onto hospice.
Great. That's really important for our audience to know and for folks who are thinking
Mhm.
about this. I had a
Mhm.
friend that I talked to the other day. One of the classes I do is on end of life planning. And he and I were talking afterward, and he said, he has a hospice. He's actually working similarly, trying to find places for people to in Oregon, in Portland, to be able to do end of life, to do MAID. And he said his biggest advice to anyone is to get onto hospice as soon as possible. Don't wait, because people tend to
Mhm.
not want to get on hospice
Mhm.
because it feels like you're giving up.
Mhm.
And he said these are incredibly good services for people who are terminal and know they're terminal,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you should just take advantage of them and not wait. And so that's another good
Yeah.
reason. But this is yet another good reason to
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
get into hospice. And
Yeah.
I love that that's part of what you do. And I got
Mhm.
to just really lift up the project management part, because I was also a project manager in
Mhm.
my career, and I just love that way of. I mean, it's really important, I think, to have that kind of a checklist. I love creating
Mhm.
checklists, and working with people on, what are the first steps,
Oh,
next
it's
steps, and that
essential.
stuff.
It helps, like I said, it helps take the anxiety.
Yeah.
That
Mhm,
stuff, I live it, so there's no anxiety for me at all. I just work through the list, but
mhm,
as long as I know someone has got this and they're working through all the tasks that need to be performed, then they can think about, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
facing, their last days or last minutes and how they
mhm,
want it and not have to think about
That's beautiful.
mhm,
what
So
task I
important.
got to complete.
Yeah.
mhm.
Great. Thanks so much for doing your
Yes.
work. Yeah.
So, Eric, what are you finding are some of the challenges that you have to kind of work through?
Dealing with the large organizations is tough, but they've been great. So
Mhm,
it's a frustration for me, but it's really not a challenge. There are organizations like hospitals and stuff that they're like, yeah, you can't do this here,
mhm,
Hmm.
but they
mhm,
refer their inpatient or their hospice members to me. So,
mhm,
and there's a lot of organizations that are like that. Like we'll meet doctors and they're like, yeah, I can't participate in it, but I
mhm,
will recommend you to this group that does.
Hmm.
And so I thought there'd be more, and I'm pleased that there isn't more pushback in that.
mhm,
Um, a lot of the challenges is really just getting the word out about that.
mhm,
That because I talk to so many people. Can you imagine what is? I know you can. What
mhm.
it's like to like. "Oh, so what else do you do, Eric? I'm like, well, I do this, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
in what are we talking? Like you have
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
W-
just an
Blow people's
odd
minds.
blows people's minds like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow, I thought I had an interesting day." It's like, but I
Right.
just want
Yeah.
I guess the challenge is a really big one for me is it's a fun one, is to get people to embrace how tenuous life is.
Mhm,
Yeah.
And that's what I get to do with the property owners that aren't touching this or whatever, but they get to
mhm,
see, "Oh, wow,
mhm,
next Tuesday someone's coming to my property to pass away and they have to say all their
mhm,
goodbye." It's just if we can change
mhm,
that dynamic, I really think
mhm,
we can change a lot of the
mhm,
temperature in this world
Yeah.
and have a little bit more calm and perspective about because we don't live in this world that's going to go on forever. And I really do believe once you embrace how short it can be and the tenuousness of it all, then we're just better people. We
Yeah.
hug
yeah,
better. We have better conversations.
Yeah.
We
mhm,
embrace conversations and we just are better humans, period. I am.
mhm,
That's why I love working. It's hard. It's emotionally draining sometimes because you just can't get over the fact that someone my age is just that's it. They're done.
Hmm.
mhm,
And
Hmm.
like
mhm.
so I
Yeah.
guess that's the biggest challenge is helping people get over that hump about embracing death. That's why I got it into in the first place. It's just we got to change the conversation around
We
this.
do.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah.
just something that happens to you in a hospital and you've done everything you can and there's just
And they
50
let,
tubes sticking out of you and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm done." It's like
right.
there's so many better ways to go about
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and
So
uh, I'm
go ahead.
gonna, just to let you know that that challenge that you face with, the industrial medical is, the industry,
I call it the death industry.
the
Yeah.
death industry,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So I did a lot of, natural death care training, and I remember I don't know if you've ever heard the name of Karen, Newson from
Mm,
Boulder? She did a lot of she was my teacher, but she had always talked about how the state of Colorado lets you actually take your loved one's body out of a hospital if you wanna do a wake and do some natural death care. And so when my sister died a few years ago, I was like all ready for this. I'm like, "Yep, here we go. This is what I'm doing." And it was interesting that the hospital pushed back on that very hard. They were like, "Nope, nope, 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 no." And, later over the years, I've come to realize like the state can have laws in place to give us perceived freedoms
Hmm.
and the the death industry, the hospitals can decide, well, in this hospital, we don't believe, and this is our rules are going to be different.
Yeah.
So I always tell people you can choose a lot of things, but you have to find out if where you show up is actually going to honor what you want.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you're going to have to find somebody like Eric or myself to say, no, here's our death advocate too, and say, like,
Yeah.
no, actually, we can.
Hmm.
So,
yeah,
Hmm.
there's a lot of reasons for that and I'm not trying to advocate for the hospitals here in any stretch, but I've come from big business and stuff. They have enormous amount of rules and regulations, and you're basically asking them to break their chain of custody.
You're right.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of news lately in Colorado and other places about these just how in the world can you have these funeral homes that treat
Right.
bodies just for like you just stack them in a corner and like, well,
Mhm.
I'm going to charge you for a cremation and never cremate the body. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
so that's how all these regulations come about. And so the
Yeah.
hospitals have a huge chain of custody thing, and
Mhm.
you're asking them to break it. So
Yeah.
the best would be to try to get them to, before they die, or at least educate people like, hey, you could get them to a mortuary really quickly or something like that,
Yeah.
then you can have access to the body
Yeah.
that's outside of that chain of custody.
Right.
There are
I had
ways to do it, but it is
yeah.
frustrating because you're dealing with that huge bureaucracy. They'll tell you, "Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
CDPHE is the same way. They have all these rules and regulations. They'll tell you like, "Hey,
Mhm.
we love what you're doing. We'll help you out." But when you try to break any of those procedures due to what they said, then they're like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, no."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I
it's
fortunately found
tough.
somebody to help me though, so that was it was good that I hired someone who became that advocate and helped me throughout the whole process, and I still felt like I had agency around how to move my sister.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, that worked out really well, but again, it's like, this is the kind of conversations we all should be having,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
think about it, like, where are we gonna be?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fascinating time right now because even with medical aid and dying, I've reached out to talk to a lot of coroners,
Mhm.
county coroners, about this process and what I'm doing. That way, there's no surprise ever. Like, oh yeah, we're aware of this, and
Right.
this is how it works, and just get us contacted with the hospice organization, and they form the death certificate and all this stuff. It's wonderful, but you would be surprised that not all coroners. I mean, I've talked to several that were like, "Walk me through this whole process, like, from
Mhm.
beginning to end, like, how does it work?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even for a coroner, you'd think that wouldn't like, they would be the number one person that
Uh,
would be up
Yeah.
on this, but,
Yeah.
they're not. They see they do investigations if they're required,
Yeah.
and,
mhm.
they're the ultimate authority on what says or what the authority on what is, whether something needs to be investigated or how a death occurred,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so on and so forth. So they're responsible for that. So it's great to have them informed. But it's
Mhm.
also very curious that I'm explaining how medical aid and dying process would work at someone's home.
Mhm.
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 So it's just fascinating. It's just good to just keep. Not a lot of people know about medical aid and dying still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And an aside that's a really sad aside is in some of these counties, they've had violent suicides
Mm.
because they weren't aware of MAID, medical aid
That's
and
Mhm.
dying,
right.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
what
Yeah.
options were available to them. So that's just
Mhm.
horrific to think that, you know, they're trying to figure out some way to end their life, whereas,
Yeah.
Mhm.
man, if they knew about this,
There's options. Mhm.
they
So
could have,
much. So much
oh, it
better.
could have
So.
gone peacefully and surrounded by some of their friends instead of, yeah. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
goodness that comes out of this, just education that we don't have to, if you're
Mhm.
suffering so immensely like that, that there are
Yeah.
good
Mhm.
options.
Yeah.
Mm.
You mentioned earlier that the kind of the overwhelm that happens sometimes when you're doing this work, and what do you have practice or things that you do to just kind of bring yourself to take care of yourself during those kind of
I'm
moments?
highly active,
Mm.
and that is my number one outlet for dealing with some of my pent up anxiety or whatever it is, emotions around this stuff. So I coach high school mountain biking, and it's very hard to keep up with them, although although I still can. I try to immerse myself in outdoors as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm in the water fly fishing. I'm out biking, hiking,
Mhm.
anything
Mhm.
outdoors.
Mhm.
I'm doing so. I love it. It keeps my perspective. It's just it's work I'm doing with people and helping them
Mhm.
um, celebrate that final day and to
Mhm.
have that
Mhm.
perspective. But yeah, those are the things I do to help take care of myself because it can be a lot after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
But,
can.
I mean, I gladly take it. I mean, because I'm just,
Yeah. Yeah.
helping
Yeah.
someone achieve a dream, right? That
Beautiful.
Tim got to go out in Franktown underneath this beautiful black forest and these trees,
Mhm.
listening to Van Morrison, Into the Mystic. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
was just like, every time you hear the song now, it has a whole, like, it's just,
Mhm.
Oh, beautiful.
so I look at that stuff. I'm like, yeah. And some people, they get, the guests I work with, they get
Mhm.
really angry and they get really,
Sure.
they're dealing with a lot. And so I'm like, I just brush that off because I'm like, I'm not facing this.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you can let your emotions run. It's fine with
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Really good.
It's not about me. I'm not facing all the stuff they're facing. So I'm not about to have a counseling session like, hey, you shouldn't be so angry.
No.
Right, right. No,
They,
that's
Yeah.
right.
they don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Let's help celebrate. What do you need and how can we move this forward? That's what I
Yeah.
concentrate on because
It's
I have no
perfect.
idea what. Yeah.
Yeah. Very well. Very well said.
Yes. And I'll ask this, does anything about the end of life frighten you?
No, I'm so curious.
Yeah, me too.
I'm but I grew up. So let's get a little religious here. But I grew up very conservative Christian,
Mhm.
and as I learned more and more in science and engineering and physics and chemistry and all this stuff that I love, um, there's all this mystery.
Mhm.
And Neil deGrasse
Mhm.
Tyson, a bunch of top physicists love talking
Yes.
about it. They're like, the current numbers, it's 97 point whatever. They argue or it's zero point 0.6 or zero point 0.2, but basically 97% of the mass and 97% of the energy in this world is undetectable by us.
Yeah.
So we live in an unknown state.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so what happens beyond this? I don't know. And anyone that tells me, and that's how I really kind of, that's my long break from religion, is
Mhm.
they would just keep telling me what the afterlife is or what heaven is or hell is. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you don't have any idea what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
None of us do.
Yeah.
Right.
So don't counsel me on stuff that you
Mhm.
just be honest, you don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I like to live in the gray is what I call it. And
Yeah.
so much of, I don't know, this world, politics, religion, whatever, tries to make sense of the gray and black and white.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
sometimes you can do it. And I get it. Neuroscience, our brains are wired to
Yep.
figure out and, you know,
Yeah.
condense things or, put different parameters around things so you can get a black and white answer. I get it. We're all wired that way. But we got to learn to live in the gray.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
it's been a long road for me about embracing this unknown. But
Mhm.
going back to the physics of the 97%, I do not know what's happening.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines, and they depicted it in the movie Contact.
Mm.
At the very end of that movie, if you haven't watched it, if you want to wonder
Mhm.
um, about what is beyond, they do such a good job because it's back and forth between ultra religious, like this is what's happening, and pure unadulterated science, like there is no religion.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it ends up being a huge question mark in the
Yeah.
end where
Mhm.
you're like, I
Mhm.
can't tell you one way or the other.
Yeah.
And that's how
Mhm.
I like to approach all of this stuff with people. It's like you can have
It's
your
a mystery.
religious views, but we can agree on that this is a vast mystery that we're going into. And who
Mhm.
knows what's out there? I certainly don't tell people what's beyond this. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
can embrace the beauty, just like we
Yeah.
can't
Mhm.
see the wind, but we can feel it. Like
Mhm.
there's so many examples of the mystery around us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
Embracing the
and death
mystery.
is
That's
mysterious. We've learned that with our experiences. There's not that I like to write a book or anything else, but there's weird things that happen around death. I'm
Mhm.
sure as you
Mhm.
both,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of information and podcasts and other things you can
Mhm.
go learn about that people aren't making stuff up so they can go talk about it. Like we've
yeah.
had
Right.
some very interesting experiences that are just confounding,
Yeah.
but they're
Mhm.
Yeah.
beautiful all at the same time. And I just
Mhm.
like I hold that open going, hmm.
Yeah.
There's some of that 97% going on around here, and
That's right.
I love it.
I love to see it. I don't know what it is. I can't describe it to anybody, but
Yeah.
there's something going on that none of us can touch.
Exactly.
We can
Exactly.
sense it, and so it's really I love adventure. I love going, and this is a huge adventure for me to walk this path with people.
Yeah.
And Tim, the last one in the article, we had such a great time talking because we connected instantaneously because he was a guide up in Alaska. And so I just told him this story and he was like, oh my God, we're buddies now. Because when you're fishing, I love this visual so much. When you're fishing up a stream, you're always looking at that next corner going, oh my, look at that water right there. It's so amazing. I don't know what's around the corner. Oh my, I got to go see like what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And so when I was with Tim, I was like, Tim, you're going to get to go see what's around those corners. And all of us are back here. We're not going to get to see, but I'm so excited for you to figure out what, you're going to get to go on. So it's really fun and adventuresome for me. So
Yes.
Yeah, I love that metaphor of I feel that way when I'm walking in the forest too. The next turn on the trail,
What's it gonna be? What's it
Yeah,
gonna be?
yeah. I can never.
I know.
That's why I can never stop walking when I get in the forest. Well, wait a
I
minute. There's
know.
another turn up there.
I know. Why are the trees arranged in this fashion? It's
Right,
beautiful.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what?
And then you turn
It's
around and
amazing.
come back the other way, and you see a whole nother forest.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, thank you, Eric. This has been really,
Eric.
really, really wonderful. I really appreciate the work
Yeah,
you're doing.
I'm so grateful.
Is there anything you wish we had asked you that we didn't get to?
No, you two have been great. It's been wonderful to meet you. And it's one of my favorite things about being a part of this community. And it's back to your hospice question about why people maybe even wouldn't want to join hospice. Forget the medical stuff. Join hospice because the people in it are fantastic.
They are.
I know, right?
They're some of the best people you'll ever meet. You're
Absolutely.
like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so you two in this whole industry, like, I didn't say industry for you two, but this movement about trying to talk more and maybe in the future we'll have parlors again in our homes where people could actually pass away in our homes and it be an accepted place for that to happen.
Yeah.
There's so much I can keep talking about. But anyway,
I
it's
know.
been a pleasure to
you
talk
too.
with you and have some fellow people walking this journey with me. So
Exactly.
I thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
And I love
Well,
it.
Eric,
Go ahead.
Go. Eric, I hope to see you. I work up in Lafayette at the Natural Funeral Home. So hopefully maybe one of these days we'll do a cup of coffee and I get to hear more
I know
stories.
them well. Yep.
Yes.
I've had a few people pass away and they've done the reverent body care there. So I really appreciate the space that's created there.
Great. Beautiful. Yeah, we always ask for a poem or quote, and I love that you just said the only thing I can imagine somebody finding useful is to be and stay curious. So we'll leave it with that, and really appreciate that. So good, so important, and so obviously what you're preaching and learning and showing and embodying exactly. So
cool.
Thank you so much, and we will.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thanks for all your work. Thank you for joining us today. Please stick around after the credits for our afterthoughts, and it helps our numbers if you stay until the end. We want to thank my children, Nate, Vivian, Nina, and her fiancé Asher, for the excellent opening song, and a special thanks to our awesome editor, Sam Zemke, who is also a guest on our podcast. You can listen to him on Season 4, Episode 5. Also, thank you to Charles Heaston, the composer of the original music you are listening to now.
And of course, thanks to you, our audience, and all of our amazing guests. Please come back next week for another great episode. Share this with your friends, family, and community. We hope you will subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Substack. Each guest's additional information will be found in the podcast notes. And of course, if you have a good end-of-life story to share, please reach out. We are always eager to hear from you.
Yay. Okay. How
What a
cool is
great
that?
story.
Yeah, I love that I mean, to come from that place, I'm just an engineer, you know?
I'm just an engineer.
Yeah,
There's a problem to solve. We need to figure this out.
yeah,
And the fact that something touched him so deeply and it persisted, and
yeah,
he didn't actually give up after the pandemic began and he had to close his masaya.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
this is what we all should be thinking about. Like, what is
Yeah,
our passion project and how do I keep going?
yeah, yeah, and how do I get the word out and get people to
Mhm.
really start talking about this? That's obviously what we're up to here. I love that he
Yes.
hears this calling, and we talk, in the mystic path. We talk about the calling, and
Mhm.
my dear friend and teacher Khadija used to say, "God always wins," So
That's right.
you can keep pushing it back if you want, but it's going to keep coming, and
That's right.
eventually you just say, "Here I am. What do you got for me to do?" So, and I love that just a beautiful example of his work and how he couldn't get it off his shoulder. He said, couldn't get it off until
Yes.
he actually did the work, and beautiful, beautiful work that he's doing. And I really do hope more people think about doing that. Ever,
Yeah, beautiful work and the fact that he's wanting to stay curious, and I hope more people will learn that
yeah,
curiosity is will take you places that you had no idea, and, stay curious. I think we
yeah.
should to always say that. Stay
Stay
curious.
curious, right? Especially this work. Yeah.
Yeah. Adios.